Hi everyone, and welcome to TWF Friday Night Smackdown. Hi, Mike Lane, here with Sarah Shiver and with Wade Barrett. And today on Friday Night Smackdown, we're going to talk about what happened yesterday on Impact or Hit. Yesterday on Impact or Hit, it was a good show. We saw Haiku Sarah, we had Haiku Asada, if I'm saying her name right, beat Io Sarai and become the new Women's World Heavyweight Fighter here in the Toy Wrestling Gathering. The first AEW Jax doll to do so. Well, take that back. Maxwell Jacob Freeman was a two-time TWF heavyweight fighter. Mike Lane says. You got that right, Sarah Shiver says. Haku Asada, the three-time AEW Woman Heavyweight Fighter, beat Io Sarai, or Io Sky, yesterday on Impact or Hit. The big asking thing is, what will happen next? Well, I can tell you one thing right now, Mike and Sarah. I know Ric Flair, the main wicker of the Toy Wrestling Gathering, is back, and he is going to tell us what he's going to do about Drew McIntyre, or Drew Galloway, as he would have been called in EPW and TNA, since WWE owned the right to the Drew McIntyre ring name. But here he comes now. It's good to be back. Sorry that I was out for some time after Drew McIntyre struck me with a Claymore kick. Now, as you all know, my last wrestling match was in 2022 YL when I teamed up with Andrade Cien to take on Jeff Jarrett and Jay Lethal. And that, hopefully, is my last true wrestling match. However, Drew McIntyre has been sent home. He's been seated. And Astronomer, the overseer of leadership, or, a wicker of leadership of the Toy Wrestling Gathering, she was filling in for me all that time. And there have been a lot of sagas and a lot of tales going around about, was Ric Flair fired as the main wicker of the Toy Wrestling Gathering? Who's going to take his stead? Who could do it? Could Jorah do it again? Angel, Aladdin, Steve Austin, Baron Corbin, Daniel Bryan do it again? Well, there's a lot of folks. Ernest P. Worrell, well, I know you're naming off a lot of folks. Jem. Shrek. The list goes on and on of folks that had it. But I'm here to tell you, you don't have to worry. Drew McIntyre, you will have to yield a fee for what you did. And when you do come back, you will have to say that you are sorry for what you did to me. And if you don't yield the fee and you don't say you're sorry for what you did to me, I believe that's the last time we will be seeing you here in the Toy Wrestling Gathering for some time. Not one, no one man or woman is bigger than the Toy Wrestling Gathering. Never. So now I'm going to have to do something that I think I have to do. I'm going to ask the head of Stronghold, to come out here. Now, I understand Drew McIntyre Claymore kicked you, and I believe it happened on last week's on Dynamite or Might. Yes, it did happen. Well, how about we do this thing? How about you and Drew McIntyre have a match. And if Drew McIntyre beats you, then he's back in the toy wrestling gathering. Now, if you beat him, then he's seated. Like Steve Austin was when I warded with Steve Austin. And he didn't like it. Alright, yes, I know that I can beat him. You know, I know whatever Drew McIntyre they pull out, I know I can beat him. So let me get me straight. You want me to say that I am bloody sorry for Claymore kicking your head off, Ric Flair? And you want to say that I'm sorry for Claymore kicking the Stronghold Keeper's head off? Well, I'm sorry, Ric Flair, that I Claymore kicked your head off. Sorry that you don't know when to call it yield. You had your last match in 2008 YL with Shawn Michaels and WWE at Wrestle Madness. But that wasn't bloody good enough for you. So you had your last match with Hulk Hogan at Bound for Glory or Bound for Greatness in TNA. Not good enough. You would have another last match at Crockett Businesses. Oh, but not the Crockett Businesses that is now owned by Silver Lake Tools leadership through, you know, Undertake Team Holdings, full Knockout Team Holdings. And you're no way you're going to beat this Highland Warrior. You're not going to beat this Highland Fighter. It ain't happening. So put a fight lure in the ring, because I'm going to Claymore kick your head off. And then no one will have to see you ever. Fuck. And they won't have to see you ever again. Knock all that shit down. Oh! And Ric Flair just knocked down, you know, Drew McIntyre from behind before the match happened, Mike Lane says. And some would say that Ric Flair got an unfair upper hand on Drew McIntyre, Mike Lane says. Yeah, Ric Flair was always the dirtiest player in the game. That hasn't shifted. Ding, ding, ding. And Ric Flair is unfair. He couldn't handle being scathed for having 2 last matches. You know. And now Drew McIntyre got hit in the head. That's not fair, Wade Barrett says. Sarah Shiver said, I think it is fair. You know, it wasn't fair for Drew McIntyre to Claymore kick Ric Flair or Claymore kick the Stronghold Keeper. Yeah. Doug Dillinger, he's not, Mike Lane says, but he should be on looked all the same. And if you don't know who Doug Dillinger is, he was the head of Stronghold in WCW from now between 88 YL to 2001 YL. Mike Lane says, an overkick from the Stronghold Keeper on Drew McIntyre. Wait a minute. And now he's gonna do it. The Stronghold Keeper's gonna do the spear. Drew McIntyre just Claymore kicked down the Stronghold Keeper, Mike Lane says. Look out. The future shot. This match is over. Mike Lane says. Sarah Shiver says that means that Drew McIntyre is going to be back in the toy wrestling gathering. I believe so, Wade Barrett says. And Ric Flair needs to watch his rear. And so does Astronomer too, Wade Barrett says. 1, 2, 3. Ding, ding, ding. Here is your winner, Drew McIntyre. All right, Ric Flair. I played your game. I beat the Stronghold Keeper. played your game. I played your game. I beat the stronghold keeper. And now that means I'm back in the toy wrestling gathering. And now your worst bloody nightmares now come true. Hey! Who the hell you think you are? You ain't my nightmare. The nature boy don't have no nightmares. And I think that you're a flight of shit. You might be a great skilled wrestler, but with no onlook for anyone or anything, you ain't going to get anywhere. Oh, Rick, like you had any onlook for anyone in AWA and MACW, WCW, WWF, WCW, WWF, WWE, TNA, WWE, AEW. You had no onlook for anyone. And now, me and you are going to have a match. I can't think it'd be so great. And you can't make up your mind where your true last match happened. Did it happen in WWE, TNA, or did it happen in JC? Well, it doesn't truly care if you had your last match with either Shawn Michaels, Hulk Hogan, or with Jeff Jarrett or Jay Lethal. You're going to watch your bloody lair. Well, it looks like that Drew McIntyre, or whatever offshoot of Drew McIntyre we have. We got two of them, so we misstated one. We always know where the other one's at. Well, it looks like that Drew McIntyre has made things own with Ric Flair, and standing by, Mike Lane says we have Tony Schiavone in the ring with Ric Flair. Oh, thank you, Mike Lane. Thank you, Mike Lane and Sarah Shiver. All right, Ric Flair. I have known you since your times. I've known you going back to the MACW, WCW days, and not in WWF, but in your 2-with run in WCW, not in your 2-with run in WWE, or your TNA run, your 3-with run WWE, but your AW run. So things are getting a little one between you and Drew McIntyre. Yeah, Tony, you know me. We go back a long time. Drew McIntyre wants to make things one between me. Drew McIntyre is irked and angered that somehow, someway, I had 3 last matches. But then again, Drew McIntyre shouldn't worry about how many matches that I had that I said that were my last matches. What Drew McIntyre needs to worry about is me getting even on him. Now, Drew McIntyre is back in the toy wrestling gathering. He beat the Stronghold Keeper. But this isn't done between us. And need be, I don't know when my last match would be. But it won't be against that shithead. And Drew McIntyre is going to learn, if it wasn't for great wrestlers like Sting, Ricky Steamboat, Shawn Michaels, Bret Hart, Steve Austin, The Rock, John Cena, Dave Bautista, Bill Goldberg, The Undertaker, Hulk Hogan, Randy Savage. I got a long list of good wrestlers. And some of them are my friends and some were not. They were still good wrestlers. If it wasn't for them and me, he wouldn't be in this ring wrestling today. Woo! Well, that was my talk with the main wicker of the toy wrestling gathering, Ric Flair. Back to you, Mike Lane and Sarah Shiver. Well, thank you, Tony Schiavone, for talking with Ric Flair here today on Friday Night Smackdown. And that's all the time we've got here for Friday Night Smackdown. I, Mike Lane, with Sarah Shiver and Wade Barrett. We hope you like Friday Night Smackdown, and we'll see you tomorrow for Collision or Hit.